everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Upshift Creek, where this is almost getting familiar. Didn't we just do this the other day, guys? This is amazing.
It feels like it, which is nice because that means we're finally in some sort of season rhythm of racing.
It's absolutely bonkers. I don't know what to do with myself. All this racing to talk about. As usual, joined by my amazing co-hosts Ryan Sandler and Nick Calderon. Guys, welcome back to the show.
Vroom vroom, bitches.
Great to be
yeah,
here.
and let's get vroom vroom, because there was lots of vroom vroom at the race. This last race was in Spain. Absolutely banging track. It's the track where they do a lot of testing. A lot of the drivers know it very well. Let's just very quickly, we'll just talk about practice super quick, because there's a lot more to talk about. But practice, it was interesting to begin with. The Alpines were a bit racy. The Haas's were a bit racy. And then when we got into practice 3, there was a little bit of rain. The Mercs, the Ferraris, the Astons were all there. And then there was Max and Checo. I should mention that Max and Checo in every practice session were just off in the distance. For a change. But when we got to qualifying, we were blessed, because there'd been a bit of rain. It got cold. It got cloudy. And one particular corner was a bit slick. And it all got very interesting, didn't it?
It looked like they were all having a little bit of getting a little squirrely out there.
Yeah, and it just gave you that little like when it rains around your house and you like you can smell the air, you can sniff the weather, you're like, ooh, we're in for something good. I was kind of hoping for that for the whole weekend, little flirts of rain. Yep. Didn't quite get it.
Yeah.
Just sweat, just bits of sweat.
Yeah, it's some George Russell's sweat.
Yeah. So yeah, it all got started. There was a crowd full of there's a crowd full of Aston Martin shirts and Ferrari hats. They were certainly splitting it between Carlos Sainz and Alonso. The crowd were definitely there for Alonso. The crowd were capacity. They were there like the day before racing even started, because everyone was like, this is it. Alonso's going to be at home. He's going to be on fire. He finished second. And that was just a wet fart for the whole weekend. And we will get to that.
Yeah. I have some things to say about that. Were they giving those Ferrari hats out for free?
They were everywhere.
Yeah. I can't imagine all those people bought those hats unless they were like $2. I don't know.
They were just throwing them out. There's like, dig, and one for you. It's like Oprah with Ferrari hats. But like I say, Q1, it was uneventful for the first 45 seconds.
Yeah.
And then we had Bottas off, we had Albon off, and then I don't know what happened with the FIA. They must have some big red panic button for red flag, because they just immediately smashed the red flag button, and everyone's like going,
yeah, that came out of nowhere. What was that all about?
That was weird.
What's going on? Everyone just speculated that maybe some gravel had been brought back onto the track, but honestly, I was just like, were you guys watching the same race? Or did someone slip? And, oh no, we hit the red flag button. Sorry, my bad.
My favorite bit is when they cut to the technicians trying to clean up the gravel, and it's just a guy casually just kicking rocks off the thing. Like, well, you got there's 3 guys there's one broom between 3 guys, and the other 2 just casually kicking rocks off to the side of the road.
F1, peak of motorsport. There you go.
$1 billion industry.
All jokes aside, I'll be the serious guy here for just a brief moment. You got to give F1 or FIA a little bit of credit there, because let's say, what would we be talking about if they didn't do something and you had a car go headfirst into that wall? Clearly there was an issue at that corner. Who knows? Maybe somebody spilled some oil that they weren't aware of. But when you have that many incidents in the same corner in the same span of time, you got to do something. Otherwise, we'd be having a different conversation.
I do appreciate that Nick's whole thing is, look, can we give FIA credit for doing their flipping job?
Yeah.
Didn't I give them the Upshift Creek Award not like 2
weeks ago? I think we all did.
Many times.
Yeah. It's like, oh, well done, FIA, for not screwing up. It's like we're all just judging on a curve, I guess. But the spins would continue. I think the one that was the most dramatic, I think, throughout the weekend is we saw Alonso in turn 14, that new last turn, and he's kind of messing with his wheel, and then he suddenly gets this hard snap. He goes bouncing through the gravel, and then from that point on, they're just repairing his car with magic F1 duct tape. And like every time he goes in, I want to know, right, what is this tape? It's tape that it's like Flex Seal, like those commercials you see where you bang, you put it on the side. I'm like, I want to see Alonso doing a commercial for this tape that can take 200-mile-an-hour speeds and not come off. Why can't we not repair all our cars with this tape?
Yeah, I mean, is that how they repair those cars so quickly? Is just they're like, well, just slap a bit of duct tape and some WD-40 on there.
Yeah, just
Right
there
on
you go.
up.
Good
Ollie,
enough. That's how Williams build cars.
Look, Ollie, go over to like Etsy, get somebody to make you up a F1 duct tape label, go down to the 99-cent store and slap those labels on and start selling the magic F1 tape. It must be, I think if you can't do that, then that tape must come from the same factory that they use on the soccer fields when these guys are mortally injured on the pitch and they just spray them down with some magic spray and they pop right up. Same thing.
Yeah, I think there's a whole thing of F1 sort of kit that we should be able to buy, but that tape, it's the kind of thing you break your car. You see people taping up their windows and taping up their broken brake lights. I want F1 tape. It's like bulletproof. It's basically Kevlar. I want it.
You guys joke, but I hear Upshift Creek storefront coming soon.
Oh, that's a good idea. That's a good idea, right? All right, everybody shut up about the tape.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Copyright, proprietary. Upshift Creek Industries. But yeah, it was floor damage for Alonso, and from that point on, he was pretty much, his weekend was all over the place. I don't like, a lot of the chat online has been because we had a lot of cars up on cranes at Monaco, so everyone was getting a real good look at the Mercedes floors and the Red Bull floors. And we're like, ooh, and then we got to look at the Williams floor, and it's just a floor.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like your grandmother's basement's linoleum floor, just as basic as it gets.
I was waiting for like a 404 not found. It's just a blue screen. There's just nothing there. Or you see like there's two holes in the bottom, and Sargent is just pedaling like Fred Flintstone.
It's sad. It's sad. This is where the budget issues come into play. You laugh, but when that beautifully clear blue Williams goes by with not a sponsor on it, well, that's why their floor looks like grandma's basement.
They do have that Duracell battery, so hey, they do have a battery. Maybe it's just battery powered.
Those ads are really over promising and under delivering.
The poor Duracell bunny is feeling very sad. That's the weird thing, that you guys have the Energizer bunny, right, in America?
Oh yeah.
In the UK, it's the other way around. It's the Duracell bunny. And I have no idea how this happened, but in the rest of the world, it's the Duracell bunny, and in America, it's the Energizer bunny, and it's just one of those weird things. Why did they both choose bunnies? Is it the tortoise and the hare? I have no idea.
Save it for your TikTok, pal.
Yeah.
So I did see there was some quote from the Williams designers saying that there had been some design, without the help of like digital. Along the lines of basically saying, no, we didn't use a computer, we used a pencil. And everyone's like, yeah, when we saw the floor, we believe you.
Yeah. Oof. Oh, man.
Who needs simulations? They just got the F1 2022 game and they're playing that one to see how they can figure shit out.
That's right. That's the problem solver right there. That's how I do it.
The turn 14 drama continued. A very racy Gasly, he was doing great. He almost got tied up with Sainz. He let one Ferrari through. Didn't realize there were two Ferraris, and that picked him up one of his 2 penalties. I was like, he was picking up more penalties than the Italian soccer team. You know what I mean? It was ridiculous.
Yeah, that's a drag. I don't know. I guess you have to be consistent. Was he really goofing up that much? I guess so. I mean, I can't go bagging on the FIA now after I just patted him on the back for the safety infractions.
Sure you can.
But no, that being said, I will give credit where credit's due with the FIA is the reason they have been very fair with all of their penalties. If they've done it for one person, they do it for that person. If it happens, and so he did it twice, they go, he gets 2 penalties. There's no wishy-washy about it anymore. So at least, we can appreciate that. But by the end, we're approaching the end of Q1. And it is so bizarre. We've got Hulkenberg, P1, Gasly, P2, Verstappen 3, Piastri, P4, and Leclerc in 11th. And everyone's like going, are we in the twilight zone? What am I drinking? What's going on? Is this happening right now?
But that didn't that get you excited though?
You love to see it. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Just to see the order in a mix. You kind of knew that some of these things were anomalies. You knew it wasn't going to stay that way. But Leclerc in 11, it was like, I'm not.
I love a constructor's gumbo. I'm just gonna say it.
We did. That's the thing, is because that gumbo, they kept throwing in new ingredients because Leclerc was 11th, but everyone else was still on a flying lap. And so suddenly, when it's all said and done, at the end of Q1, we end up with Hamilton first, Norris second, Russell third, and then we've got Perez 15th, Leclerc 19th. And again, we're like, what? And it's not because, he spun or he had damage to his car, just straight up 19th place.
Well, didn't old Charles there, there's a problem with my car. And now this, I don't want to jump ahead too much, but he's complaining about something wrong with his car, right?
Yeah.
Then they go and change all kinds of components on his car and wet fart in the race. We'll get to that, but.
So 100%, because that's what he's saying. He's complaining there was no back end grip. He said it was all over the place, didn't trust the tires, had no confidence. And like Nick said, they basically just rebuilt the car under parc fermé conditions and gave him a pit lane start. Because they're like, all right, they sent off all that stuff to Maranello to analyze it. And they're going, well, what are they going to do? And they're going to go, no, mate, it's fine. You were just shit.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see the outcome of all that investigation and the message that we, the fans, actually get. Because if there was absolutely nothing wrong with the car, which I kind of suspect is the case, they're going to spin that coming out of the factory is in as best light as possible.
They're going to spin it like a pasta dough that they're making. There's got to be some sort of allegory.
Famously, how pasta is made, just spinning it in the air.
No, that's exactly how you do it. Q2, brown trousers time continues. Russell, he got squirrely. He lost the back end, and then Perez continues his tradition of the last two races of having an absolute shocker of a quali. He goes off in a foray into the gravel, and you kind of see that moment. Was it Adrian Newey? Kind of like nudges. What's his name though? Christian Horner. He's like, points out.
Oh yeah.
And then you kind of got Ricardo going, what's going on?
Soon.
And then my favorite part of the randomness of qualifying is the Mercedes trying to continue their tradition of taking out both of their cars while on track at Barcelona, where Russell and Hamilton came together and took off his front wing.
Yes, that was nuts, man. I couldn't believe that. And I also, we all know Hamilton is a class act all the time, but how was he so calm through that? To me, that looked like Russell was a complete idiot. I was speechless at that moment. I was on the edge of my couch, like, what the F are you doing? Yeah. And Hamilton's like, well, yeah, just kind of cool about it.
It's kind of dangerous.
It's like not a matter of, if he's going to slam into another car, it's a matter of when. And it just so happened to be Hamilton, unfortunately.
Yeah, I guess everybody's got
he's working his way through the grid. He's got to hit it.
He wants to be perfect.
He's got little check marks on the side of his car, like a fighter pilot.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, you got to give him that much width. That's right. You got to give him the Russell width. I honestly, because they cut back to that crash, but I remember I saw Hamilton tucked right under the back of him, and I thought that was a plan. I thought that he was giving him a tow at the beginning of his qualifying lap. I just don't think Russell knew how close he was. I just think he didn't use his mirrors, you know what I mean? I think it was a bit of an accident. I'm just lucky they got away with it because they were at top speed. I was, imagine if they both lost it and they'd stacked both the Mercedes because let's be honest, the Merc upgrades seem to have done a bit of improvement for Mercedes, haven't they?
For sure. Yeah, Toto had a slightly less sour face this weekend.
He wasn't so much of a sauerkraut. Is that what you're saying? Well, look, I mean, much as I say the Mercs were racing, they still had a bit of a shocker because by the end of that, Perez 11th out, but Russell 12th, he's out as well. So that was like, all right, okay. So that left us with a Q3 with 7 teams in the top 10. You were saying you like your gumbo, perhaps a little bit of jambalaya. thrown in because it was just the top 10 was basically everybody was there. I was like, this is so much fun, including Piastri. Piastri.
Yeah. That's why I love. That's why for me, I enjoy watching the qualifying sometimes so much more than the actual race. Just
some of them are
I don't know
crazy.
what
And
it
this
is.
this was a good one.
And it just kept going every down to the last second of each quarter of or each qualifying round was so intense.
Yeah, it was cool to see. Cool to see everybody really getting in there, having a shot. Was that Hulkenberg up at the top for a brief moment there too? And it also just goes to show how nutty qualifying is. Because they were running down in the 112s, and race laps were somewhere in like 118s, 117s.
Yeah.
You know,
it was. I mean, Verstappen was putting in just insane lap times. It was just like the guy was on another planet. But like you're saying, Hulk and Norris were right up there at the top, and it's almost like they were lost. Like, am I supposed to be here? Like, did I come into the wrong room? Did we sneak in through the back door? Because that was like, we're still going quickly. Is everyone else just going slower?
It felt wrong. It felt wrong. It felt wrong. Like,
but so right at the same time.
Kind of hope that it gives them some sort of spark. Right? You just think maybe this is all they need to get that fire in their eye and the tiger's blood. So they put their elbows out and perform in the race.
And then you get to the race and it's like, nah.
Yeah, it's the thing when we'll talk about it a little bit. But the Haas's are great on a sort of one lap. They are like, if Formula One was just a one lap race, Haas would be really good. But once they get into race pace, they put some fuel into that thing. It's just a freaking bus in so many ways.
It's like they have some form of erectile dysfunction. There's just
performance anxiety.
The performance anxiety, exactly. They've got a brief moment of wow, look at you, followed by man.
They're more of a 1 minute man. You know what I mean? They're efficient. They can get it done. But honestly, if you're looking for a marathon session, probably want to ask that Dutch guy. Make sure you bring your Dutch cap. Oh, so many jokes. This is great. So at the end of Q3, we end up with Verstappen with his first pole in Barcelona. Probably not his last, let's be honest. Sainz, Ferrari, second. Norris, third. I was very excited about that. Gasly fourth before he picked up his 2 penalties and headed to the back. And Hamilton fifth. But we also had, we've got Piastri, we got Hulk. Ocon all up there in the top 10. It was really, really cool. And then everyone's like, wow, in the last bit, we all got within half a second of Verstappen, and then he's putting on an even faster lap, and then he goes, I don't even need to finish, and just goes into the pits. I'm like, oh man.
The sheer confidence in him as a driver is so goddamn frustrating.
He's so calm every time on the radio now. You can hear him just like, it's always, that was lovely. That was a lovely drive. Like he's driving on a Sunday or something, like with the windows down, listening to music.
When he wins, but God forbid something happens, he'll snap,
I think it's awesome. I just, it can be a little frustrating, but I just look at it as we are in another moment of glory, of greatness, of F1 dominance. We didn't seem to get mad when Hamilton was doing it. It's just that Max just isn't as likable. That's all.
You say that, but I wake up in the middle of the night in cold sweats hearing the Dutch national anthem. I know all the words now.
Well, on to the race. And that was, in many ways, a very interesting race of 19 cars. You've got the Mercs and the Ferraris up front, and also Max. And then you've got Perez and Leclerc trying to make their way sort of through the thing. Russell as well. And then you've also got Max. And then we've got Lando on third with that interesting story. Max is also racing, by the way, at the front. And Norris's race lasts 1 corner.
Oh, such a bummer.
It was
such a bummer.
It was awful. It was awful. It was like watching a kitten getting beaten to death.
I was thinking the same thing. It was just like a really bad high school bullying session. He just got destroyed.
It's like the movie Rudy, but when Rudy goes out, he just gets tackled and paralyzed. It was awful. He makes it to the first corner, comes together with Hamilton, loses his front. He loses the edge of his wing. And I honestly, in retrospect here, as someone who doesn't race in F1, but I'm like, would it maybe have been more beneficial to drive a couple of laps with a broken wing? Because pitting on lap 1, you're last.
I thought
You're-
that too.
You're flat
Ollie,
last.
Right, because the whole grid is all packed up. They're just going to speed right past. I thought the same thing. Just run him, man. See how far he can get. Let the pack spread out a little bit. Maybe you can slot in somewhere. Maybe you can stretch those tires. Maybe the wing isn't going to make that bit of difference. Although Barcelona's a fast track.
Very. I mean, yes. I mean, even just 2 laps and then pit him or something like that. But that was it. His race was over. That guy, he was either on track by himself or he was in 19th and 20th pretty much the entire race. And I just, every time I looked at the standings, I'm, oh, Lando.
It was like getting your birthday cake saved. It was like getting your birthday cake served with a big fat fist to the mouth.
And then they spit in your mouth.
Powerful metaphor. It's a powerful metaphor.
But also, and then right there on the first corner as well, George Russell invents a new track layout, which works out great. He even manages he gets 5 places in the first lap.
And explain to me how he was not penalized for that.
Well, because he made the move on Piastri before he abandoned ship, and he did exactly what he was supposed to. He took the exit lane and went around the bollard, so he followed the rules.
Right.
But I'm more interested in how he got 5 places. Did he do that thing on Mario Kart, whereas if you start revving it just the right time in the countdown, that you get that boost off the line? Because that was like, it was insane. He was like, where did George come from?
He took the old Rainbow Road strawberry shortcut. Why don't you just do that every lap?
Classic. I know. Part of me was like going, I do that every lap.
Okay, all right. This is cute, but I'm going to speak to our listeners out there that might be a little older, like me, and have no experience with Mario Kart. I don't know what they're talking about either.
We've just lost our entire audience.
So then we got Sainz, Stroll, Hamilton. They're all kind of duking up. Stroll had a pretty good start, which was quite cool. And then also there was Max Verstappen was away at the front, and he was just driving away. Max was also in this race.
It's fine. It's fine. Let Max do his thing. I actually watched this entire race thinking, ooh, who's going to get first place?
Yeah.
You just put a piece of black tape over the standings on the left-hand side of your television.
Ignore that. Everything else is a very interesting race because there were like 20 different tire strategies going on. Sometimes you got some tracks that go, oh, they're either going to do this or they're going to do this. It seemed like everybody was on a different tire strategy. It seemed like everyone was having they were getting different things out of different tires. And and there were so many overtakes. I mean, fundamentally, there was always something going on in this race, apart from at the front where Max was
and pit strategies too, Ollie. Like, it was looking like anybody could be on a 1, 2, or 3 stop strategy. And that, when you really looked at the order at the beginning of the race, you're thinking, oh, this could turn out to be anyone's race. First, second, first.
Yeah. And it was
even for me as the resident tire expert on the podcast, obviously, it was very exciting to see all the tires.
Speaking of exciting, Nico, Zhou, and Tsunoda scrapping away at the beginning there. That was kind of fun.
That was some great stuff from them. There was because Russell got up to 6th by lap 7. Alonso was just so weird, just no pace. Yeah. Hamilton got Stroll. But there was that moment where it was so much going on in the middle that it was Yuki, it was Zhou, it was Hulkenberg. There was all this kind of mixing and matching and like lots of 3 wide and 2 wide. And then which broadcast were you watching? Did you watch the international broadcast with Brundle and Crofty?
That's what I usually do.
Yeah. So I watched the bit where Brundle tries to talk about how international everything is. You've got the Frenchman, the Finishman, the Chinaman, and everyone goes, ugh. And he goes, and the guy, the Japanese guy, and everyone's like, man, you don't say that anymore.
I heard that too. I'm wondering what kind of reaction or talking to he got. I mean, I get it. These guys, it's you're live. You're trying to come up with things to say about a pretty exciting race. However, it was you could hear as he said it, you could hear the collective groan across the world, like, ooh.
He sounded like your drunk uncle at Thanksgiving, just dropping bombs.
Because honestly, I'm with Nick. It was a slip of the live tongue because he just said Frenchman. you know, and it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
he's just.
Yeah.
And he goes, Chinese man? No, that would be wrong. A Chinese is just, oh, Chinaman. Oh no. And
He,
it's
he
like,
puts
yeah,
he put some stank on it though. That was the problem. We've got the Englishman, the Frenchman, the Chinaman. It's just you can't put the stank on it. That's the problem.
but that was like people all over. It was just like Twitter was just live, was just loving that one, and there was a lot of immediately on Reddit people were just there's already jokes about it. I was like, all right, but so let's go back to it though. The Mercs were racy. The Haas's were not.
Yeah.
But Perez was making his way up, and Leclerc was standing still. It was so strange. It just continued. That it's like he was in an F2 race, or maybe his brain was in there, but he was honestly just going backwards. And for once, it wasn't Ferrari's fault.
Old Chuckles.
That's what I mean about
Unfortunate.
egg on his face. You know, he's complaining about something wrong with the car. They changed all the parts. Sainz is driving the same car, having a much better race. Even though I don't like Charles, it's hard to believe that he just couldn't find any pace in that car on that track. But it does seem a little strange that they didn't find anything. They've got telemetry all over that car, sensors in every orifice they can find on the car. And he just couldn't get out of that bottom section of the pack.
Yeah,
so,
he flirted with the Ferrari and then he pitted again. And was like, oh, well, never mind. But DRS was so strong on this one, which was great for us. I mean, so many around the outside and up the inside of turn one, there was all kinds of dives and dips and stuff like that, which I could I sounded like dodgeball there for a second.
Yeah, yeah.
But there was a lot of overtaking. I mean, Russell in particular, he was up to P5 by the 14th lap. That guy started in 12th or something like that. That's legit.
Well, he kept taking that one shortcut.
Did he get like we should just do all Mario Kart jokes the rest of the thing, so Nick is just completely flummoxed. Yeah, he ran over the star and he got like it was like
just blue shell after blue shell.
Did you guys ever play Combat?
But then
anyway, who came in and stole Aston Martin's pace in the middle of the night? That's what I want to know.
Yeah,
Mercedes.
Especially in Spain. Yeah, it must have been Mercedes, because that was disappointing. All of us were excited to see Alonso just go stonking through the pack and come in with another third or second place or hopefully fourth or first. And he just kind of was hanging in there and not giving the fans what they wanted to see.
And he still had the wherewithal to not pass Daddy's little angel.
Yeah.
He's like, just let him know not to be afraid. I'm here. I'm not going to pass him.
That was fine.
Every single race, there's some sort of Alonso gem. I did love that bit. Just let Lance know. I mean, that guy really does know what side his bread is buttered, man. There's no ego in Alonso. You know, he's like, let Lance know. No problem.
Yeah. Well, read between the lines there too. That's also a really good way of saying, I'm still very much faster than him. Just so you know. Just so everybody, in case the score sheet's going to show I came in behind Stroll, but
it's the moral victory.
Just so everybody knows.
Only gets one.
But after that first set of pit stops, kind of like we were talking about, I looked at the standings and it was like soft, medium, hard, soft, medium, hard, medium, soft. Every single car after that first set of pit stops was on completely random strategies, and I'm like, all right, okay, this is going to be interesting, because then Sainz pits, because we were seeing a lot of undercutting going on, but the Mercs stayed out and they just kept going on those softs. They went 25 laps on the softs, and I think it's that they're new, because they replaced basically the entire car. Maybe they just broke in, switched the Astons and the Mercs, because they've got side pods on now, did a quick paint job, and that's why everything has suddenly just gone flip-flop overnight. Maybe that's it. It's just some shenanigans.
I think you just pitched the greatest Formula One movie ever made.
Get Josh Krasinski, get Brad Pitt. We need to change that plot right now.
Did you say Formula 11?
That's fun. No. Formula One heist. I just I was so excited to watch all of this shake out, and then I just totally forgot what I was going to say. I was trying to buy myself some time and I never came up with it.
So you know, in Mario
Kinda
Kart,
like
where-
Leclerc.
but for me, it was what I was surprised about is with all the duels that were going on and all the crossings, and like you said, the great stuff that was going on. Like De Vries was having his moments, and you know, even everyone had their little moments. Piastri, and as close as people got, it's like there were no yellows, no safety cars, no VSC, no trips into the gravel. It was just like everybody was honestly racing brilliantly and just like and hard. You know, I think that was a really good hard racing was going on.
It was good racing. I mean, I was waiting by lap 20. I was like, oh man, because you could see the weather coming in, and maybe there were wisps of rain, and maybe we get a safety car or something. I was hoping just to see it switch it up from the normal routine race that we typically get every weekend, where everyone's up front. I was hoping to.
Yeah, I mean,
hoping to
for
see
a
little
moment,
chaos.
I got a half chub when Russell was like, "Is that rain?" And I'm like, "Ooh,
Yeah.
is it rain?" And
Yeah.
then like a lap later goes, "Yeah, sorry, I think I'm sweaty." And the commentators are so funny. They're like, "I didn't even know George could sweat. I thought maybe it would be cologne." I was like, "That's pretty funny."
Yes, yes. How does
Hey,
that?
Ollie.
How would that work? How would he feel rain like
Well,
underneath his?
I think it
helmet?
wasn't feeling rain. He saw a dot on his visor and assumed it had landed on it. Instead, it had come from his eyes because he was, I don't know, crying with joy because he can finally drive a Mercedes fast again.
Oof.
Ollie, let me throw this in too.
Throw it in.
There has been very few mechanical retirements all season. We've got a field of 20 very reliable cars out there, and that's kind of surprising to see, especially this early in the season. You know, I would have expected to see more blown engines, more power
very good
units
point.
failing, batteries failing. It looks like we've got a lot of reliable cars, and they always say, you know, F1 is a test bed for a lot of tech that we may find in road cars in the future. So kind of promising what's going on out there.
So just need some
Are you hoping
anti-sweat visors
Yeah,
in the
I was
future.
to say, what side pods are you hoping for?
I want the ones with pop-out guns that just.
There you go.
Dude, I'm still going back to the tape, man. I want that F1 tape. I want that to come down to us, man. We're going to blow Flex Seal out of the water. This is going to be one of those as seen on TV moments. It's going to be epic.
Let's do those. Let's do those infomercials.
I got
We
it.
did
I'm gonna
have,
make some shirts.
So Sainz got chewed up by Hamilton and Russell after they pit. They came, they chewed him up, no problem. They pit the Ferraris. Sainz goes forwards and Leclerc goes backwards, kind of like we were saying. Though we did get some fun. Something I think we should start keeping track of this because I think it's almost been 100%. We did get Yuki moment. We got Yuki shouting on the radio. Just
Thank God.
love
Thank
it.
God.
Get me
Who put that-
angry Yuki on the radio.
Who's got Yuki screaming on their bingo card?
That's the center one. I think that's just it. That's just it. Okay, that's 100% going to happen.
No, we said
Max
we
saying
talked about
lovely.
the center one is Ferrari being Ferrari.
And the top right is the FIA doing their job. It's Nick's favorite one.
Shit. Yeah. Very lonely at the top.
Well, it was very lonely at the top for Max. So he made it interesting by not concentrating. Was he texting? Because he got his his warning for going off track limits. He actually ended up getting the black and white flag, which do it again, and you're in trouble.
Yeah.
That was bizarre, and I can only imagine he just didn't give a flying F1. You know, he was so far ahead. He had time to spare. I was like, what are they going to do? Penalize him 30 seconds?
He's the only guy that can get 3 penalties. It doesn't affect him at all. I don't understand.
He's the guy that wants to get 2 black and white flags, the checkered flag and the black and white flag. He's like, no, I want to collect them all.
Give me all
Give
the
them
flags.
to me. Because the funniest thing was, he gets warned by the team, right? He goes, all right, you've got your black and white flags. And he goes, what? You know, he just doesn't, for what? I don't care. And then they're like, and then he asks, oh, so where am I for fastest lap? And they go, Max, just remember, you've got a caution, stay off the rough rumble strips. You got a black and white flag, and then just silence on the radio. And then he goes out and does fastest lap.
Yeah.
And then the team, it's like they have nothing against him. And then he goes, okay, so maybe we can stay inside track limits now, Max. And again, silence on the radio. It's just like, that guy gives no shits.
You have to think, I mean, but the guy delivers. You have to think that he knows what he's doing. Like,
yeah, exactly. I mean, you can't complain.
I mean, not to fast forward too much, but someday Wouldn't it be exciting to see Max Verstappen in Christian Horner's role?
Ooh, he would be ruthless. He'd be like Helmut Marko, but even worse. You wouldn't get dropped from the team, you'd get executed on the pit lane.
I'm signing up for that. I want to see this.
Would be interesting to see for sure.
Yeah.
You had your shot, now you get shot. He would be, I mean, because Red Bull are the most ruthless team out there. I mean, it's like you feel like Perez has had 2 average races, and I say average. The guy, where did he end up finishing 4th? And still, everyone's like,
Yeah,
I think Perez might be in trouble. And even Helmut Marko in an interview a few days ago admits, oh yeah, Perez. In reality, Verstappen has never considered Perez a serious threat. I'm like,
That's
you sit in the corner, Serge. That was a quote from your boss in F1 media. Oh.
I don't think you're a threat, but I don't think about you at all. Damn, that is diabolical, man.
You know, look, I think all of us here are big Perez fans. However, how long has he been racing now? 11 or 12 years?
A long time. He's been in for a while. He's no spring chicken.
Right. He's got arguably the best car on the grid. And he's still not challenging sincerely and seriously for the championship. So look, if you're not going to do it now, it may not ever come. And I hate to say that. I don't want to be that guy, but you got to face the facts a little bit.
It's kind of like Bottas talking about, racing with Lewis. He goes, it was great, but you're racing with Lewis in the same car. What do you want me to do? I can get some P1s, I can get some poles. If there's a mistake, I can get a win here or there, but at the same time, he's Ricky Bobby and I'm Carl Norton Jr.
It's a perpetual battle for second place.
Shake and bake, buddy. Shake and bake. There was a little bit of drama towards the end. Yuki and Zhou going into turn 1, and they get super close, and Zhou swerves off. And all the guys watching, I've watched both versions of it. So you've got, Martin Brundle thought it was pretty fair. David Coulthard, he thought it was pretty fair. And then Yuki gets a penalty. And I'm like, were they just bored? Did the stewards need something to do because everyone was being so good? Because in that particular case, I don't think Yuki deserved that penalty. I thought that was just straight up hard racing into a corner. There was no contact. He didn't swerve towards him. I thought that was bollocks.
I agree 100%. When you watch some of these classic old F1 races on YouTube or something, and you see what these guys were doing, the bloody noses that were coming out of these on-track battles, and now what we saw between those two guys this week, that's a penalty.
Yeah.
Don't we all want exciting racing? Don't we all want these guys to get close and pass? Now you're going to penalize them for it? Come on.
Yeah. Stupid. I didn't like it. I agree with everybody. And that kind of cost Yuki in the end, didn't it? It kind of screwed up his race. And I'm like, I didn't like that. I'm surprised we didn't get some Yuki shouting on the radio after that. That would have been great. I can always look forward to some of that. And then Verstappen, because he was so far ahead, he goes, hey, I'll just take a pit stop. I get some fresh boots on for fun. And then we end up with him a pit stop ahead, but we then have Hamilton second. We've got Russell third, Perez and Sainz. So as much as Sainz was like, whatever we do, everything we have to do, we have to stay ahead of Perez, and Ferrari were like, we got this. They did not have that. It turns out that it did not work out the way they were planning. But yeah, I think the biggest story for me is the Mercedes were suddenly back in the game. I mean, as back in the game as you can be when you've got Max Verstappen a whole pit stop ahead. But I think I think their goal now is second in the championship, and they're not that far behind Aston Martin, or it's pretty damn close, isn't it?
I just don't understand what Red Bull has in their cars that's made it so in a completely different league than any other car on this track.
But they're beatable. You saw what happened with Perez this week. They are beatable.
Yeah.
Mercedes had pace.
Fair.
There are other fast cars on track. Max is a unique case. A
what do they have in the car?
Here.
A Dutch guy.
Yeah.
It's called Nick de Vries.
But you give Hamilton a fast car, and hopefully we
Yeah.
can start seeing more challenges like we had in seasons just a few seasons ago. So Ollie, while if you can I break into some awards yet? Are we there?
Oh, we're about, it's exactly where we're going to jump into. Let's get into, as we like to do here on this podcast, we like to hand out the Upshift Award, which is the award for the best anything, be it driver, be it team, be it actually the FIA. And then we also have the Upshift Creek Award, which is whoever had just an absolute shocker. Nick, why don't you lead us off then with your nominations for the Upshift Award?
Well, just because you were just talking about them, I felt it was timely. The Mercedes team overall, I think you have to give them the Upshift Award this week. Clearly, they've been at work since the very first race of the season. They've been working hard back at the factory. Whatever they
As
did,
Lewis says.
Whatever they did in preseason for this year just didn't work out the direction they went. So they were able to pivot and show pace finally, which we all think we need to see out of them. So definitely give Mercedes the Upshift Award this week.
That's they're on my list. I had Mercedes.
Yeah.
I had a little sort of sub thing for that though. Was Russell to go from 12th to third was a pretty impressive drive. But I kind of put that in with the Mercedes. But I also had a little side one, which is if we had an Upshift Award for Saturday, I would give it to McLaren, who.
Yeah.
You know, out of nowhere on Saturday, you've got two of their cars in Q3. You've got one of their guys in the top three. Considering it's almost like a participation medal, I want to give to McLaren for just good job on Saturday, guys. Good job. Well done.
Nice.
What about you, Ryan? You agreeing? You
So I too, yeah, I was in the same boat. I had Mercedes because man, they just turned around and performed. And Russell had, I mean, how many fastest laps did he have in this race?
Yeah.
Like all of them until he didn't.
until Max said, "Oh, I've got an 8th gear."
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, oh, there's something underneath my gas pedal. Okay. There we go. Now
No,
we're
it
good.
was
Now
one
we're
of my
good. Yeah.
awards.
Yeah.
I think it was the medal from last
Yeah.
week.
He's like, wait, I have a fully charged battery? Nah, I won't even use it. Yeah.
All right. Okay, well, let's do it. Mercedes, we believe that, you know, I mean, the thing is that Red Bull, like, oh, we've got our upgrades as well. I mean, I think it was one point, because Nick, you were saying, what does Red Bull have? And I think it's pretty easy to say. It's Adrian Newey.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like that guy is just a wizard. He's created so many winning cars. And it was Brundle during the race going, yeah, Christian Horner's going to hate you saying this, but Adrian Newey is worth as much as the most expensive driver in F1. And I'm like, I would have to agree with him. That guy is, he's the freaking Yoda.
He's the prettiest girl at the ball.
But then, okay, let's go with the Upshift Creek Award. I've got only one name on
I know we all have the same name. Unfortunately.
Should we say it on 3? Let's see. And okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Charles
Lando.
Leclerc.
Norris.
So, all right, I went with Charles, and it was that Lando from you, Nick.
Yeah.
And
I
Ryan,
did
yeah,
say
Lando
Lando.
as well.
You got
It's
Lando.
funny.
I did
Yeah,
too.
it's funny you gave them a little thanks for showing up award for Saturday, but I think I'm giving Upshift Creek to Lando because and not because I dislike him or that he had a poor performance. I just feel like that's just a confidence breaker to just be a doormat for 17 cars to just basically run over your face. After a little bit of sunshine, a glimmer of hope on Saturday, and just to get run down like that. I hope it doesn't break the poor guy, because I really do believe he's a good driver.
My argument against it would be, it's not like he did anything fundamentally wrong. He got crashed into on lap 1 and pitted and thrown to the back, whereas Charles was just, his head wasn't in the game. He didn't seem like he showed up to the race. He was just constantly all over the place. But 2-1, all right, fine. Lando, congratulations. You win you had the worst race of the week award.
He went to an orgy with no lube. And just got taken for a spin.
Perfect. It is so perfect. They ran the train on poor old Lando.
It was rough.
I'm writing that down for a t-shirt, you guys.
Well, I know what's going for the advert, the commercial for this particular episode right there. But we're not done yet, because what we like to do here is to delve into the dank zone, because Reddit has the best subreddit when it comes to Formula One. Not the Formula One subreddit. No, we love Formula Dank. We want the memes. Ryan, you have sent me the spiciest memes of the day, which we will start going through right now as soon as I figure out. Oh, you need to let me share my screen. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
We've got the classic guy rubbing his hands together meme. In this case, though, they've put our favorite driver, Danny Rick, over the front of it. And good Lord, it's the Spain qualifying results. He's like, Danny's waiting for that moment.
Just lurking in the background, just hoping and waiting. God.
Gosh, could you imagine if they swapped Checo out with Ricardo? I want to see it, and I don't want to see it because
What would it take? Like, what would have to happen besides something terrible?
He would have to be finishing at the back. Like I said, we're talking about this, and Perez came fourth.
Yeah.
Fourth, but that's how ruthless Red Bull are. That they're like, fourth, get out. You know, so I could see that. Okay, next up.
No, they Checo's been great.
I agree. All right.
It might be like a Tanya Harding, Nancy Kerrigan type situation, though. You never know what's going to happen.
Next up. It's the trade offer meme. It's Alonso, and it says, "I receive a fast Aston Martin for a few years. You receive me not humiliating your son for P6."
God. Oh my gosh, that was great.
That's another thing we got to stop keeping track of. There's always like an Alonso moment where he's giving strategy advice to the billionaire's son, or he's making sure he looks good. I don't know. He's like. Is he like the ultimate wingman? When they go out to clubs and stuff like that, is Alonso just talking up Stroll to all the hot ladies?
You bring up a good point, though. Like you mentioned, Max somewhere down the line being a great team manager. Wouldn't Alonso too be a good team manager? You know,
that would be
cool. Little Pop Alonso action.
I'm signing up for that too. Yeah, that would be fun, man.
All right, next up. These are good. You gotta appreciate the speed of these memes. Next up. How does this man have no competition? If you ever feel useless, just remember Max Verstappen still has rear view mirrors on his car.
To be fair, I think that one gets posted every weekend.
Yeah, they should. Are they a regulation thing? I think maybe they should just take them off or something like that. You know, yeah.
It would just make the car lighter.
Yeah, just what they need is more of an advantage, Ollie.
Okie doke, moving on. I can just because I did.
Surprised that they haven't. I'm kind of surprised that F1 cars don't have rear cameras on the side instead of mirrors.
Well, very Tesla. Yeah, so in this particular case, it's a picture of Martin Brundle. We actually talked about it earlier. You know, science is saying find a way to beat Checo, and Brundle's answer is hire Adrian Newey. I'm like, that's probably the best advice in general. The guy is a genius. Max's dashboard when he starts the car before today's race, change difficulty. It's like from the game, it says, "You're winning easily. Now it's time to increase the challenge. Would you like to raise the difficulty from pro to unbeatable and receive 50% extra credits?" And he's like, nah. Nah, I'm good the way. It does feel like that sometimes, doesn't it? That he's just like playing the game that everyone else is like still trying to figure out.
Only on Sundays.
Only on Sundays.
I do wish he was a little bit more likable.
Yeah, I will. It's the Dutch thing. Alonso with every driver, he's like SpongeBob with the big muscles, but Alonso with Lance, he's the adorable SpongeBob who's just got big old eyes and chubby cheeks. And that guy is like a ruthless animal, except with Stroll. Like I said, he probably just goes back and he's telling what a great drive it was and how good the back of his car looked and the quality of your tires. And honestly, Lance, you know, could you give me some advice on how can I be better at having sex? Just sprinkle every compliment he can put on the guy.
You know, we're all sitting here thinking that Alonso is just a really nice guy, but maybe Papa Stroll has gotten in his ear back behind the scenes. Listen, you better keep your paws off my son, otherwise things are gonna happen. You know what I mean?
Has anyone seen Alonso's family? Have they been missing? Have they been missing for a few weeks on an extended vacation? Every now and again, he just gets proof of life. He's like, you know what to do. You keep doing it. And then we had that 30% chance of rain, which of course was a 100% chance of sweat. So you've got a weatherman in front of Russell looking very sweaty, doing the whole weather report. That's a good one as well. How are people this good so quickly?
It blows my mind. It really, honestly, I look forward to this more than actually watching the race. The hardest thing is having to wait for the entire race to finish before I can go into Formula Dank so I don't ruin the race for myself.
And then, we've talked about this as well. It's the classic Top Gear, oh no, anyway. It's the guys on the radio. Max, you've got a black and white flag, and Max goes, oh no, anyway. And then he goes out and hammers the fastest lap of the race, probably with one eye closed, driving with one hand while texting the Torpedo's ex, who's now his girlfriend. Thank you very much, Ryan, for all of the dankest of the memes.
It's the only thing that brings me any joy.
And the chance that Max doesn't finish first. Next, we have a 2-week break. Well, a 1-week break. So we've got no race this weekend. But the next race, it's very often a banger. It's Canada. We've seen Canada has been home to some of the greatest drives, to some of the greatest races, and to the strangest competition of who can not run over a rabbit, because they've got lots of rabbits.
Oh man,
on that one. So a little bit like Nick, like in Mario Kart, when you can run over and you can get kind of like an update, or a weapon. In this case, you can run over the rabbits and try not to upset.
I know you're joking, but all of the Mario Kart references are actually helping me understand what's going on. So keep it up. That's working for me. I like that.
Yeah, it's great. If you guys can maybe make your next references in Spy Hunter, that might help me out.
Oh my God.
The Daytona game or something like that. Outrun. That'll be a good one as well.
Yeah. Pole position. There you go.
There we go. Pole position. That's one we could all get behind. All right, fellas. Thanks a lot for joining. For anybody that was watching or listening, thank you much for joining as well. Don't forget to like, subscribe, rate, comment. All that will help. Tell your friends. Come join the conversation. Let us know your Upshift or your Upshift Creek award. And also send us your dank memes. We can't get enough.